Hello. Yes, let's just admit few more people and then we are good to go, please. Okay? They will be coming. Please send your details quickly. I can see that almost I know each and every one here, but please just send for the record's sake. Okay? Yes, a few more people and then we are good to go, please. Can you send your messages to people to reconnect? All right, some few more and then we are good to go, please. Let us reconnect, please. All right, I think we should, the others will join. So we have noted that, can you hear me, please? I hope each and everyone can hear.
Yes, please, we can hear you, sir.
Very well, okay. So we said that boardroom harmony, that is the responsibility to successfully manage board meetings, depend upon each and every member in the boardroom, except that there are two key roles, okay? The board chair and the secretary. And they have the duty and responsibility to ensure that the meetings are well managed. Let's repeat it. Each and everyone has a responsibility, except that the key people are the board chair and the board secretary. And I'm saying that if you are a public or private sector entity, if you read Act 992, Act 992 is very clear on what the role of the board chair is. And I'm saying before even that, if you look at the Cadbury report of 1992, which culminated in the combined codes of UK corporate governance, says the same as Act 992 will say. And I'm saying that if you are within the public sector, you can read the State Interest and Governance Authority Act. I think it's 998 or so. And no, it's 990, Act 990. And it will give you the role of the board chair, each and every one. And so it will follow. That's why we say that the lead person who has the ultimate and utmost responsibility for managing boardroom meeting process is the chief executive, what they call the board chair, ably assisted by the secretary. And the role of the secretary, if you look at Act 992, has been redefined, because gone are the times, or in time past, anybody could get up and act as a board secretary. That's absolutely not the case today. And last week, I made a strong admonition to all of us. If you are a practicing lawyer, not just a solicitor, but a barrister, your case qualification to act as a board secretary is closed. It means that your case is sealed, stamped and sealed. Nobody will question your integrity or substance to act as a board secretary. That's one. If you are with us and you are a chartered accountant, then your case is also stamped and sealed to act as a board secretary. But anyone amongst us talking, you have to prove your mettle, your substance and integrity to act as a board. That is why it has been amended. Apart from these two professions. But the truth is, not each and everyone can become lawyers and accountants. And as I told you, when I left the university in the early 2000s, I said goodbye to accounting. Otherwise, I was an accounting student. But I still pray to God, as far as He endows me life and sound health, that one day I will write and become a chartered accountant. But to see, how do you navigate it out? Because like I said, if we don't pick the bullets and buy them today, I'm telling you, they'll come back and haunt us. When opportunity present, final opportunity present themselves, we cannot take advantage because we did not build ourselves. So how do we do? What you need to do is, as I have said, begin to write professional exams. Anything chartered, it qualifies you to act as a secretary. And those of us here, our case is even very easy. We belong to the corporate governance profession. And I'm telling you, you can become a chartered secretary, you can become a chartered corporate governance practitioner. And like I told you, it's part of the aims of a platform like this, to bring these qualifications to our doorsteps. And we'll soon be doing that. So begin to find yourself associated with a chartered body. Take note, colleagues. And as I told us last week, even if we're not starting today, we must start the investment process, or we should begin the decision to invest in our professional development this evening, right after this. But most ideally, when the night is still at 0 o'clock, that's the time we should get up and ponder, reflect, so search deeply. And then we chart our professional paths. Fantastic. Let's take note of this, colleagues. So now, let's take the items one after the other. Board chair, his general role before his specific role in the meeting. The board chair is the chassez affairs of the boardroom. Take it. Yes. Harmony, conflicts in the boardroom. Everything depends upon who the board chair is. When there's perpetual conflict in the boardroom, it's symptomatic of two things: poor leadership and either a weakened or an arrogant board chair. Take note. So sometimes you want to agree with the board chairs, because when anything goes wrong in the boardroom, they are the first people they will call. But don't forget that the one to feed the board chair and the CEO about corporate governance and compliance issues is the board secretary. So the question is, the board chair and the board secretary, who is more prominent, who is more important in the boardroom? We will not answer that. I'll leave it to your own judgment. So the board chair is responsible for ensuring smooth conduct of the meeting. That is the number one most important item. Smooth conduct. Smooth doesn't mean that they are devoid of hitches. There are hitches. Because there will be debates. Because people will take different positions. A good board chair finds a critical fine balance between his position and the position of other members relative to an item which is being discussed, relative to how it contributes to the progress and the overall well-being of the company or the organization. That is what a board chair should be doing, colleagues. He's responsible for organizing the conversation, the business, and ensuring that there's efficiency on the boards. Efficiency means that goes beyond the board chair and the CEO. Efficiency means that each and every board member is contributing their quota through constructive engagement in the boardroom. He also plays a key fundamental role in the formulation of what board strategy. Remember, those of you who are lucky to have done that MBA, remember Triker of 2015. Triker look at the role of the boards and partition is into four. That of strategy, that of policy, that of constraining executive action, but above all, the ultimate goal of ensuring accountability to shareholders. And don't forget that in doing this, he further partitioned this role into two. What he describes as the management role and then the governance role. And when you find board members who don't understand what we are saying, then there'll always be perpetual conflict in the boardroom. Strategy and policy is a preserve of those who are in charge of management. There's a CEO and his lieutenants. So a board chair, that's what I say, is responsible for determining the board's strategy together with his colleagues and hand over the implementation of the strategy to those who are in charge of management, and then hold them responsible by constraining them in terms of resources to keep them in line with the objectives and aims which you find here, but above all to ensure that they actually deliver value for the shareholders, maximize shareholder value. I have red ink, aims and objectives. So this, at this juncture, I want us to discuss what's the difference between aims and objectives, colleagues? Because we're professionals. And our impact must be felt in the boardroom, in the strategic arena. What's the difference between aim and objective? Yes, you can unmute and then just talk if you have an idea, please. Why do you say this is my aim? Why say this is my objective? Yes. Yep. Okay, so unmute and talk. Please do. Yes. Okay, I've asked you to unmute, so please you can do so. What's the difference?
Yes. And under this circumstance, the aim will be the broader objective.
Okay.
The overall objective, and then the objective here under this circumstance will be the immediate decision to be achieved within a very specific meeting or a particular resolution.
Okay.
Resolution.
Okay. So move it beyond the boardroom and just look at it even in terms of general. So I buy mostly into your last submission of the objective. Fantastic. That's a good submission. Okay. Yes. Good. But you know, I'm getting the voice, but except that you have to remind me, but it doesn't come with your name. Is that Nicholas or who?
No, it's Abu Alawi.
Oh, yes. Abu. Okay, yes. Are you from Accra going back? Are you from Accra going back? Okay, no problem. Yeah, so colleagues, because of lack of time, I think that he has nailed the issue in the No, that's okay. That's okay. We are fine. So just okay. Can you mute? Abu, thank you. Now your aim, as he has said, is the overall, the long term. So we separate aims from objective by the time, the duration. Please, let's mute. Let's try and mute. When you raise your hand, we'll call you, please. Abu, try and mute. Good. The aim is the long term, okay? That is from the medium to the longer term, you are setting an aim. But an objective is within the most defined, shortest possible time. So when you are setting as your objectives, you look at usually the most immediate 1 year frame. All of these can still be classified as objectives. And it helps us, colleagues, because if you don't separate your aim from your objective, you can never have smart objectives. Because what is supposed to be achieved in 2.5 or 3 years, and you want to achieve it within 1 year, you will not be realistic. You will not be timely. So you keep repeating that cyclical, mistake cycle, repeating it all the time. But above all, the board chair is responsible for ensuring that committees are properly formed and working effectively and efficiently. That is the board's chair for you, please. He builds and maintains working relationship among all board members and other key stakeholders. But he's also required to build and maintain good working relationship with the CEO, and then clearly demarcating role separation. Okay? It is not the job of the board chair to be meddling in the day-to-day affairs of the business. That is the domain. So set the CEO on that part, and then you hold him accountable. But when you begin to meddle, so for example, how can a board chair try to use his influence to recruit an internal auditor, colleagues? If you have a CEO who knows his job, he will not agree. If it is an external auditor, it's understandable. But somebody you want within a department and you want to bully, it's not even using your influence, bully. And it has happened in this country. And there was friction in the boardroom because all of them knew what their functions were, and they were also powerful as far as government is concerned. So they got it, they said they got it on, not on silver platter, or somebody just put them as additives. No, they played actual key roles leading to political appointments, one as CEO, one as board. It happened at GNPC, colleagues. Freddie Belay wanted to bully KK Sapong. And he's also somebody who knows sit down and bully somebody else. So it created some tension. If our minds go back, it was. So you must build that rapport with the CEOs, and then also separate your boards, your roles very clearly, please. Now, how about the chairman's role in the meeting itself? The first most important thing has to do, that's why we're saying that who has responsibility in managing meetings effectively, and we said each and every one has a role, except that the key roles are played by the board chair and the secretary. Because the chair, most important element to do in the boardroom is to ensure that there's boardroom dynamics. Respecting, mutual respect. A board chair must respect the colleagues. But I'm not naive. You can have boards where we have some people see themselves as alphas, but they are never omegas. Alpha means that the best without equal. So they just come. And I can tell you, particularly the banking crisis. In corporate governance, it is wrong to have a board chair also chair subcommittees. It's wrong. As soon as I come and see this thing, I'll say, look, there's something fundamental wrong. Because you must maintain your independent sense of what? Judgment as a board person. So it is so huge to manage the boardroom, and you are carrying something on top of that. That will be tough for you, please. But I know a board, colleagues, the board chair, there were 4 subcommittees. And it was only one that he was not as chairman of the subcommittee. So tell me, what decisions are going to be made? No wonder that bank collapsed. And those who don't know, they speak ignorantly. Somebody who used 75% of the total assets, equivalent to the total assets of the bank, to advance it out as loans and advances to himself, cronies, and related third parties. Related third parties, colleagues. And then people say, witch hunting, really? I fought BOG, sincerely speaking. Because even when they knew that this was the case, they still went ahead to advance liquidity support. How? A disinterested business is a disinterested business. There's nothing you can do about it because itself is not interested in its growth and development. So why do you inject additional money into that? So boardroom dynamics is about mutual respect. It's about respect for sensitivities and sensibilities of members. It's about creating an atmosphere that provides healthy, clean, and quality debates. Debates that are issues-based and not persona-based. When you have a board room where the chair wants to see himself as the meeting itself, then there'll be problems. I don't know if I'm speaking right. Because the board chair assumes the whole meeting is a board chair, colleagues. It's wrong. That's not the role of the board chair, to be the meeting itself. No. He has the role to create what we call, just a minute. Neither is the board chair supposed to be all that you see. Over dominant, he must not be over dominant. He must not also be under dominant. But far more importantly, he must not be overly consensual. Everything he agrees. They will take you right. Okay? Don't be over dominant. Don't be under dominant. Don't also be too or overly consensual. Because when you engage in this as a board, these are tendencies that will create scenarios, bad scenarios for the organization. Because there will be no harmony in the boardroom. Because you want to see yourself as an alpha director. Among others, number one, without any equal. And the dominant also means that they can easily walk over you. But don't be too quick to also agree to issues. Let people, your agreement should be based on merit. Why? I mean, develop that critical mind to question issues. That's important. He also has to create the atmosphere to promote healthy debate among members. But look at Dennis Henderson. And he says that the board's role is to synthesize the optimum decision from the various experts around the table. Because you see, board members are supposed to be experts, colleagues. Sorry, political boardrooms are a job for the boys, most of them. Party financiers and all, that's not what I'm talking about. Where you want to see efficiency, it means that the board should be made up of experts. industry people, academics, policy practitioners who understand the business, the terrain of the business, inside out, well connected internationally, highly qualified with negotiation skills. These are people you have assembled. So your job to synthesize means that to pick ideas and analyze them from the various experts. That's what to synthesize. But see what your humble servant Alawi Dawuda says about the role of the board. Your role is to plant the fulcrum of boardroom dynamics at the center stage of deliberations, to navigate away from the quiet dissidence and silent seat towards the path of consensus building. And I'll soon explain myself. The boardroom sometimes can be very stormy. A good board chair understands the nature of this. The question is, how do you promote healthy debate in the boardroom as a chair? That's the question. You can see, nobody is saying that I am an alpha. You can see it on your screen. Healthy debates. The qualification is what? Healthy debates. For you to promote this, you as the chair, you introduce a line item. Remember we said agenda. What are the items on the agenda? Introduce it. And when you do, don't state your position as soon as you introduce them. No, everybody will quell to their themselves, okay? Or their shelves. Because the board chair has taken a position already. The moment you speak against that, then you will be seen as an anti-person. So what a board chair, astute board chair will do in his or her quest to promote debates is to actually introduce the line item for discussion, avoiding his own personal sentiments or position. What you are required to do as a board is just to set the background context for what? Discussions. Then you allow members to actually express their own views on the issues. Then you have a final say. You come back to conclude discussions on the issue. That is one position adopted by an expert. So it means just pretend you don't even have an interest in the matter. At least if you have. Let people express their own. Let's see the point of departure, convergence and divergence, and then you create a fine balance. That's position one. Let's look at position two of this. And that's Alan Greenspan's philosophy. And he says that, yes, you as the board chair should introduce the item for discussion. You then invite members in turn to express their own views and ask questions. Give each and every member the opportunity to hear the other on the matter. Having done this, it meant that everything is guided by constructivism or construction, critical thinking. You now invite them to state their positions as individuals on the matter and try to convince why they have superior positions. Where it requires votes, you do so. If it does not, then of course, everybody would have bought into an idea because of the superiority of that. Okay? Let me introduce you to these terminologies. Characters in the boardroom in the next 3 or 4 minutes, then we open it up for discussions. But please, if you did not join us early, I say, just for attendance purpose, just forward your full details to my personal WhatsApp as an attendee. Okay, we'll take note of that. The quiet dissident or silent seater in the boardroom. Note that the boardroom is full of politics, characterized by the presence of certain characters. We call them the quiet dissident. A dissident is a protester. Somebody who is always dissenting. Recidivistic in that. It means he is a perpetual dissenter. But we could also have seethes, and the qualification here is silent seater. To sit is to disagree with an opinion, but you don't want to voice it out publicly. But inside you, you don't agree. There are people like that in the boardroom. So, as an active board chair, what you're supposed to do, you have to be skillfully develop a second eye for such characters in the boardroom. You know who they are? They will protest. No matter how logical it is, some people would still dissent. How about the silent seaters? Develop a second eye to be able to see these people, even from distance. And by their own action, ye shall know them, true or false. The way they behave, you will know. It is difficult to know these people. That's why I've always said that, look, try and grab copies. You can go to BAM Library and read Professor Achu Ayer's book on saints, wizards, demons, and systems, explaining the success and or failures of public policies and programs in Ghana. I was lucky in 2006. He taught me at the MPhil level. You need to sit by that man, you know, public policy #1 in the country. He's still alive anyway, and he's still doing well. I think he's a fellow of IEA, and he's doing very well. Those people can sit and laugh with you very, very well, listen to you, and they will sell you out. So you, the board chair, should be able to bring them on board diplomatically by asking what their opinions are. That's how you can ensure boardroom dynamics. Try to develop what we call a critical sense of what? Intuition. But above all, as a board chair, you should develop an antenna and place it on the political space of the boardroom. And when you place it, continuously fine-tune it. You understand what I'm talking? The experienced people will understand what I'm talking about. That's the way to go, colleagues. That's what an effective board chairman does, or chairperson. I prefer the chairperson because ladies are also board chair people. To be able to promote healthy discussions in the boardroom. So what did we say? Overall, for the day, managing the boardroom, and we asked a question, who has the responsibility? And we said each and everyone in the boardroom has the responsibility to ensure that the boardroom is effectively managed. However, there are two people who play critical roles, the board chair and the board secretary. And we say that the board chair has the overall responsibility to ensure the smooth conduct of the business of the board at each and every board meeting. But far more importantly, we have said that the secretary, which we will look at next week, has the role of advising. So Abu, the question you asked of directing or control, I said directing. That is the symbiotic relationship between the board chair and the secretary. The secretary is supposed by Act 992 to advise the board chairperson on what areas: governance, compliance, strategy, register of companies, and all this. And then the board chair intent directs that, having advised me, do the following, blah, 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 blah. So we have looked at the role of the board chairperson. Next week, God willing, we will look at the role of the secretary, and then we extend it to the MD. And then subsequently, we'll look at minute writing, and we also look at motions and resolutions in the boardroom. Remember, we have said it's a 5-week. I see it extended to a 5th week, a 6th week. And all of this, please, let's not take it for granted. The experienced people will tell us. Just as we did the last time, there will be executive certificates issues to those who want it. But let's get the concept and the substance first and foremost. I pray that next week we don't run into such a technological hitch again, and everything will be fine. In the remaining minutes, let me advise again or remind us, once you are here, send your details to my personal WhatsApp for registration purposes. As we move along, I want us to be identified by our names, but for now, no problem at all. iPhone, whatever, all of this is acceptable. Because if we have this, you don't need to. I will just find you as we move along. So let me, at this juncture, declare the forum open. So you can unmute yourselves now, and then let's interact before our sessions run out, colleagues. I'm grateful. Thank you so much. Yep.
Football comes to you from the Spanish capital, the magnificent Estadio Santiago Bernabeu. It's going to be even more magnificent when it's
if you are playing football, I think you can, yeah, unless you have
Osasuna.
Yes. Honor Prisla. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Any other issue? Please just raise your issues, and then we can take them before our time, runs out.
Oh, sir, I'm okay for now.
Very well. Any other, please? Remember, we said that the board's chair should not be over dominant, but he or she must not also be under dominant. But above all, he or she should not be overly consensual. So I was thinking somebody will raise an issue. So what must he do under the circumstance? This is a critical question. And I'll throw it back to the floor for this.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes, this is Sadiq.
This is
Sadiq.
Yes, Sadiq.
Sadiq, your
Yes.
boy.
Mutaka, I can see you. Yes, go ahead.
But yes, I joined late.
Okay.
But this is an area I have so much interest in.
Okay.
Because in fact, I'm involved in the writing of minutes and taking part in so many meetings. So
Okay.
I really have so much interest in this.
Okay.
You spoke about some 2 terminologies, quiet dissident and then
Quiet
silent
dissident
seater.
and a silent seater.
Yes, I can see the second bullet points you address how the board chair should handle the silent seater.
Mm-hmm.
Can you please tell us how the board chair can also address the issue of the quiet dissident?
You see, what is important is this. A dissident is not supposed to be quiet. Do you get it? He protests openly, but they have qualified it by that terminology. They are known as quiet. Now, inside, if you look at all the 2, there's something that binds the 2 together. The dissident wants to protest, but he doesn't get the